Howdy, howdy, folks. As the train rolls by, commuter special as usual. Today, got ourselves a sink with a faucet in it. They do a lot of renovation down here in Florida all the time. I find these right just like this sitting on the curb all the time. And we're going to scrap this out for some metal because there's brass and there's copper and sometimes little cast aluminum in that housing there. But I'm going to show you this as is. There's one already here. They went ahead and took the faucet out for me, but I'm going to show you from the ground up with the faucet in it. Just real time, no cuts. So just to show you how easy or hard it can be. I have no idea what this is going to do for me. We're going to find out. As usual, we got our brass bucket here and a bucket for cast aluminum. Got tools ready to go. Cutters, two different kinds of pliers, Phillips head, flathead, pointy tool, all AWL for all you guys who use proper names, hammer, power screwdriver, and of course the super high-tech redneck camera holder, and of course my little hardware bucket. And just for backup, I got my pry bar and my vice grips over here ready to go. So let's see what happens with this bear. See what happens with it, and we'll tell you about how much it's worth as we go. So here we go. Let's see if you're working. Yep, you're working. Back it up a little bit. Now, what I usually do, and again, there's no crime in this, I start easy. There's a little squeeze clip here. Squeeze that and pull it off this rod if it wants to cooperate. Sometimes it do, sometimes it don't. There we go. Steel clip. Junction. Thumb screw here. Comes right off. Again, steel. Move that aside. Now your plunger should be loose. Just point straight up out of the faucet. These are usually brass, and as usual, I realized I forgot something. I have to go get the file. Hang on. There we go. Now these rods are usually brass. Just go ahead and file them down just to make sure. There's a little yellow color right there. So that's brass. Don't have to take this little knob off because it's brass too. But oh well, already did it. I doed it. Where's my gloves? There we go. Again, protect your hands, protect yourself doing this stuff. There's not a lot of money in it. There's no sense getting hurt over it. No sense gouging your fingers or your hands with a sharp tool for 25 cents or $1. Okay. Now here's the other plunger rod. There's a plastic sitting here. Let's see if we can loosen that up. Straight out. Plastic goes in the trash. This again. That's brass. Okay. These nuts on these feed tubes, sometimes they're brass, sometimes they're not. Certainly not steel. Let's find out. Yep, there you go, brass under that silver plate. Plastic tubes, these are real easy. Clip it. Nut slides right off, usually, just like that. Right in the brass bucket. other side. Still a little water in here. I must have just took this out. Okay. There we go. Now these nuts right here are always brass. They're usually part of this copper tubing up here. I don't really worry about them unless they're big like this. Then I'll cut them off. Because we won't take this copper tube as number 2 copper tube with pieces of brass attached to it. And that's not going to unscrew for me. See, here's the problems you run into. That thing is corroded on there tight. So just cut that off. There we go. Now, what I like to do next is get the faucet out of here. This one's nice and easy. Just a couple nuts down here. They should come off fairly easy once you get your pliers in shape. Loosen one up a little bit. And sometimes these studs, you might have seen this before, these studs will just spin right out of the faucet. You can try that. Not wanting to move very well, but we'll worry about that in a little bit. See, that's why you shouldn't try that, because you can knurple up the threads there. And yes, knurple is a technical term. And the nut doesn't want to keep going. So you try to force it a little bit. That's all right. See, then there's a slot right there. That washer just slides right out. Makes it easy. So you don't even need to take the nut all the way off. Let's try this side. It's rusted good. You can get her to move. Oh, yeah. Tube out of the way. Come on, dude. Loosen up for that to drop out. Straighten it back up a little bit, and then the faucet will slide right out of here. There you go. Now put this aside for a minute. Now you got your drain tube. And as you can see, maybe that's also brass. Fortunately, this thing is rusted right the heck through. This top part in here usually unscrews from this. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard. Grab that. Can't twist it apart. No dice. Be careful, it's still twisting apart. Again, no dice. See, that's why I wanted to show you this in real time. Sometimes easy, sometimes hard. Can't ever tell. Can't get down in there. Yeah, and by the way, plunger, sometimes this little piece on top is brass. I think this might be. In fact, it does look like it's brass. So, we'll just get that off of there. That's the neighbor lady and her Mustang going to work. piece. Boy, that is corroded so good. I don't know if we can bust the sink apart or not. There's also a possibility to bend the flange up on this. Since it is brass, it's fairly soft. You can bend it pretty easy. Guess what just happened? Probably some of that broke. Look at that. That's a piece of copper tube, which is not part of the fitting. Put that in the number 2 copper. Boy, this sink is a mess. Sometimes you can take this nut off, especially if this is all still intact. It'll kind of help you a little bit, but I don't see how that's going to help here. So let's keep bending. See, I'm putting a flange on that. Worst comes to worst, you just break it apart. Still not enough. Cutters out of here. Folks, you might just see a fail here. I'm not sure. When in doubt, hit it with a hammer. Wow, that is one tough son of a gun. Come on. Come on. It's trying to separate for me. I'm actually kind of glad this is happening because you get to see that it's not easy sometimes. Especially old metal pieces, old fittings, things that have been screwed together. Time just does a number on them. And it's not easy to get them apart. Sometimes you get them apart, sometimes you don't. I'm not wanting this thing to beat me though. Almost enough. Almost enough to get to the bottom. There we go. Victory. Now, sink. It's all enameled steel. As you can see from the rust right there. Jeez. Ugh. Gosh, what a mess. But that is all yellow brass. See the separation here? This part usually will unscrew from that, but It's been there 20, 25, 30 years or more. It's not coming apart. This nut's brass. That's why I said sometimes you can unscrew these and get them loose in the sink. That one happened to be rotted through. Here, let me show you. See that one? Yeah, that one's all still intact. So, there you go. Brass. Back to the faucet. Oh, I forgot about that, didn't you? Bed's getting swept out today. Now's the time to try to get these studs out of here. Usually these will just unscrew from the base. Channel locks do make this a little easier. Starting to loosen up. There she goes. Get to a certain point. You gotta do it with your fingers. There you go. Also steel. Other side. Out of the way. And of course, you can also do the old double nut trick if you want to take the nuts off these stems. If you don't know about the double nut trick, look that up on YouTube. It's pretty nifty. And that will work. I just prefer to do it like this because it's kind of quicker. There we go. Other stud. Get in there. Now, got a little plastic gasket on down here. Sometimes two. This one has two. Actually, it's styrofoam. And of course, that's not going to come off. We'll wait. Back to the brass fittings. Cut them right off. Like that. Back and forth. Bing, comes right off. Cutters. There we go. Now the gasket will come off. Junk. Now what I do, take the pointy tool, this little center cap on almost all faucets usually pops off like that. There's always a Phillips head screw in here. You can do it with the power tool, but hey, I feel like we earned it today. What do you think? Loose. That comes straight off. Looking good. This little piece here, aerator, it's using chrome-plated brass. I think this one might be plastic because it don't want to move. Find out. Loosen it up. That out of there. I usually punch these little pieces out of here. Like that. Well, it's yellow brass, what do you know? This is junk. A little washer in here. More junk. Now, 2 Phillips head screws in the bottom of this. Gosh, who left all this water in here? Fresh, fresh, fresh. Power time. Now, the color of this thing, you might think everything in this is brass, but don't be fooled. Sometimes they just plate things. Oh, jeez. See, again, difficult. Get in. There we go. Come on out. Which is an easier way to find out. Not magnetic. Might be brass. It falls apart. Just like that. Plastic retainers. There's the problem. Yeah, I'll be darned, they're brass. That's unusual. Now, this casing. That's yellow brass. Fabulous. That feels like a piece of heavy cast brass. Whoop. There we go. Sure enough. Wow, lots of brass on this one. Already got about 3-4 pounds easy, plus this piece to go. That's all cast brass. These lines are copper. Again, I segregate them. Give that a good pinch. Work it back and forth. Off it comes. There you go. Brass valve. 2 copper lines. Sometimes there's extra stuff up on the top of this. This one doesn't seem to have much. There's a little plastic piece there. That's the valve. There's some flat sides on here. Looks like it's meant to be taken apart. So, let's accommodate it. Let's see if we can do it. And no. So we're not going to put it. Just leave it all together. They'll never see that. And they won't care. Most places say, most scrap yards, they don't care about that. Just a little bit of plastic, and they don't care. And it's in a bucket with everything else, so no biggie. It's a bag of flour. It's about 5 pounds. So 5 pounds by $1.30. $6.50 right there. Not bad. And just the copper is probably $1/4 pound, and maybe 50 cents. So $7. And of course the rest of the steel, maybe 50 cents in the sink and scrap steel. No big deal. There you go. Here's all your pieces. There's the sink. There's some other junk that's going to the yard today. Got all that last night. A nice big old water heater sitting back there. Full of water. Weighs 250 pounds if it's an ounce. So there you go. There's my fan stuff from earlier. So there it is, real time. Just so you can see, hey, that's what it takes. So